I'm going to tell a long story, just 'cause I like talking. I like stories. Back in 2006, so we're talking basically 20 years ago.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
I mean, I have been playing that,
Have you?
but that's not what I'm talking about here.
No.
but believe it or not, I have, within the last month, played the first couple hours of Sonic 06, and it is so bad. It's so bad. But I wanted to sate my curiosity because again, this is a tangent, but keep it in because it's somehow relevant. I had that on the 360. I bought it very near launch for the game, and I was like, oh, big Sonic game. Let's try and get into that. And within the first half an hour, it was one of the first times when I bought a full price game at that sort of age, like my late teens, early 20s, when I thought, I don't think I want to play this. And I kind of just put it to one side. And then years later, I've seen enough retrospectives where I thought, like, I don't know, people seem to find some fun in it. Like, even though it seems really busted, people are finding something. And I thought, right, I'll give it a go. We'll emulate it, see what it is. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. There's not a single redeeming feature about it.
God.
And I really pushed through. Like I said, I played for probably 2 hours. That's far more time than it deserves. But it's also far enough time to say it's not good. Anyway, Sonic 06, not what I was going to talk about. So
I didn't think any other games came out in 2006.
They might as well have not have. But 2006, I had finished my art foundation degree at college. I was killing time for a year, working odd jobs in the day. I was playing gigs in the evening. And then the next year, I'd go off to university. But that's what I was doing at the time. I was a Wetherspoons cleaner for a time. That was awful. I did a range of temp agency jobs. I did some factory work. It was all shit. But I enjoyed none of these jobs as much as I enjoyed being a delivery driver's mate for a furniture company close to my home.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
And every day we'd load the van in the morning, Tetris style. But there's a link there, isn't there? We'd visit a customer's house and then we'd work out how to best to get beds, cupboards, chairs, settees, whatever, through, oversized objects through undersized doorways and windows was basically the challenge. And it was physically and mentally stimulating. Every drop was its own kind of thing. You had to work out its own puzzle. How do we get this thing into the building? How do we do it at a speed that means we get to knock off early just after lunch? Like, just had a nice time. On one particular weekend, I was called in to work on a Sunday, which was relatively unheard of for this business because it was not like a big franchise. It was just a one-off little furniture shop. And we had a full lorry load to drop to a single house that had furnished basically the entire place top to bottom from a big sale this company had. And it was a really big order, even with whatever discount they'd enjoyed. And they thanked us for our Sunday work and our Sunday expediency by giving us each, me and the delivery driver, £100 tip. And £100 is not loads of money, especially not in the prism of 2025. But at the time, it made me feel so insanely rich that straight away we dropped the van back to the shop and I walked straight into town. To Game Station to purchase an Xbox 360 with Saints Row and Dead Rising. So this predates Sonic 06. That was later in the year. But right then, those are the games I bought. The early months of the 360 were pretty barren for releases. And within that first month of owning the machine, my collection was pretty hamstrung as well because I'd spunked one money up the wall on the console itself. And secondly, the cost to interest ratio on new kind of next gen games didn't really marry up because I was still playing on a CRT. Like I had a really small TV. It was pre-HD. And so for me, I could barely tell the difference between, say, Ridge Racer 5 on the PS2 and 6 on the 360 because it was SD. Like they both looked okay for the time. But anyway, on one trip back to Game Station, or it might have been Blockbuster, or it might have been, you can insert your own choice of potentially regionally specific, but now definitely shuttered media sales franchises. Yeah, there's another one. I bit the bullet and I picked up Call of Duty 2. And we're not talking Modern Warfare 2. We're not talking Black Ops 2, just straight up Call of Duty 2. The World War II shooter was previously only on the PC, came to the 360 at launch. Now, anyone who's ever listened to this show probably knows that Call of Duty, not really my bag, generally. But at the time, with little to play, the £20 or so that COD was going to set me back seemed like a pretty shrewd purchase. Because as it was a launch title, the cost had dropped pretty sharpish in the year or so the console had been on the market. And lo and behold, I had a good time. And it remains the only Call of Duty I've ever put more than an hour or so's play into. At the time, being well into achievements as well, I beat the game on its hardest veteran difficulty, 100%ing the whole thing, and just feeling like a real Nazi killing crack shot. I had a fun time.
I can just cut it there, can't I? A real Nazi. I'll get you trending.
That will. Long-winded intro side note. I'm playing Call of Duty again. Call of Duty 2, in fact, on Steam. And once more, I'm having a really good time. Like, there's no achievements this time because it's just the old PC port.
Yeah.
So I've dialed the difficulty back. I don't feel like I have to prove myself with Veteran again. But the game just holds up really well because it kind of represents the whole popping in and out of cover whilst letting your health recharge, sort of first-person shooter gameplay before that became run into the ground and hackneyed and cliched. It was one of the first ones to do that sort of setup. And it felt fresh at the time because most shooters had, up to that point, been built around scouring for health packs and armor pickups like Doom. Never really changed from there. And this made everything feel a bit more quick, a bit more immediate, more frantic. And without the weight that you feel in modern games, having had this system in place for like 15 or 20 years now, it feels quite novel to go back to it because it seems like someone trying something new and sort of like basically establishing a new genre framework.
Mm-hmm.
I'm halfway through the game at the moment. I've enjoyed maybe doing like a mission or two each evening. As bizarrely, this is now one of the games that Georgia asks to see me play, which seems odd because she might be sitting playing The Sims doing something else. And all you hear is just like men shouting and cacophonous gunfire. Like, it can't be that fun as a spectator, but she seems to quite enjoy it. It's worth mentioning again, I think, as well, because of the way I'm playing this game on the Steam Deck, just how good Steam input can be if you or if someone else in the community is willing to put the work in, because this is a keyboard and mouse game, never had any controller support at all. But other than messages on screen telling me to press like shift or control to interact with things, in the hand, this now feels identical to the console version.
Amazing.
Community made input configurations has just made it all work. And that includes even like contextual buttons that would behave differently if you tap or hold down a button. Like, I didn't know Steam input could be that granular, but you can make it so that a quick tap might be the F key on the keyboard, a long tap is G or whatever one you need next. And it just works really, really well. It's all been tweaked. It works as if I was playing it on the Xbox. So, not my usual type of game. That was covered by, the Tetris quotient at the beginning, but it's still a really cool game. Call of Duty 2. I've got fond memories of it from that time of having no money, playing on a tiny, tiny TV and not yet having the TV besmirched by Sonic 06. But it was good then, and I think it's still good now. So it's another one I'd say, if people want kind of a throwback shooter, put it on your Steam wish list because it works fine on the Steam Deck.
There we go. Reminds there's a game I still haven't found a way of playing properly, although I realise I now could probably emulate it through Dolphin, which is Medal of Honor Frontline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dolphin would run it fine.
And that was very heavily inspired by Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, yeah.
But it's also got an incredible soundtrack by Michael Giacchino.
I didn't realise.
It's brilliant. Me and my friend Tim Dean used to... I enjoyed just watching him play it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was great.
Well, but you were taking on George's role, listening to that
Yes,
gunfire.
I was. Yes,
but also
I was.
Beautiful score. Maybe that's what she enjoys as well. It's not.